bedtime is coming up, so let's get to it.
Oh
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
you're a morning hero, so we want to make sure you're not going to be a night owl tonight. So Jarvis, man, so we were having a conversation briefly earlier today, and we were talking about, when it comes to life, the two most important decisions you make is the career you choose and the person you marry. And it seems like what you do with your Morning Hero 10X business is to help people make those decisions better. So tell us a little bit about what you do with 10X and how you're able to help people to become more productive in the careers that they choose.
Yeah, so I'll just kind of give you a little history of kind of how the Morning Hero was born. I came from the sales. Yeah, actually, I'm a computer engineer by training. I went to school, University of Illinois, for computer engineering. Shout out to anybody from Chicago or the Midwest suffering through that cold.
Shy Town, at least you ain't got to deal with these gas prices out
That's
here.
right.
Yeah, I went
Got
through
to give
many
up
years
some
of
for
that.
some.
My goal was to never see another snowflake ever again. So I think I got close to that coming out to San Diego. Um, but I grew so I went to school for engineering, went into sales. I quickly realized that my gift was in connecting with people, and I had this personality. So I went into sales and spent 15 years of my life in sales. And what I found was I hit a place in life right around my mid 30s where I just felt stuck. I was I just felt like I was coasting. Like, yeah, I was doing okay. I was making decent money. Yeah, I had, toys and things like that. But I would look around and I would see other people doing better than me, quite frankly. Like, I would be on social media and I would see friends and people I went to school with and old colleagues, people that I was getting better grades than, people who was cheating off me in school. All of a sudden, I'm looking around, I'm seeing them excelling. I'm seeing them, flashing their new car and their new house and their new job promotion. One guy who I used to mentor in my company, was the CTO of the company. And I'm like, wait a minute, how does this happen? How is everyone passing me up? Here I am, I'm kind of just, yeah, I'm doing all right, but I'm just coasting. Like, I was just comfortable and I kind of just fell into this lane of complacency. And I'm looking around and seeing the potential of what I should have been doing, who I could have been. And I, for me, that kind of lit a fire in me to not just settle for this lane of mundaneness and averageness. Like, I was destined for more than that. And so I got really hungry and aggressive after what does it look like to be exceptional? Like, what are the extraordinary people doing? Like the people that have done extraordinary things, Oprah Winfrey, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. Like, I wanted to know, what is the mentality, what are the habits, what are the behaviors of the people that do extraordinary things. And so I started reading obsessively. I read every book. I listened to every podcast. I took every online every course, everything I could get my hands on to try to unravel what are the key, what is the formula for success. And what I found was it all came down to some very simple, basic daily habits, which were the foundation point for all of these great things, for these great people that did these great things. I started doing it for myself, and I noticed explosive growth in every area of my life.
Mm.
And then I started showing other people. And then lo and behold, this was just a hobby of mine. I started hosting meetup groups where I would show people these habits of success, and everyone was they were starting to see some great results. And one day someone said, Jarvis, you can get paid for this. Like, you should like start charging for this, because this is like extraordinary what you're doing. And then so that was kind of the birth of the Morning Hero. It started off with me just with this passion of helping other people get results, because I saw how well these things were working in my life. And lo and behold, everyone else started getting great results too. And the reason it's called Morning Heroes, because the number one, I'll kind of dive in a little bit. The number one thing that I found was the most common thread across all high achievers, high producers, extraordinary people, was that they woke up early. They
Mm.
woke up earlier than everyone else, and they got a head start on everyone else. And so I started waking up at 5 in the morning. I committed to myself that, you know what, Jarvis, once you give this a try, what you've been doing isn't working. Once you try, so up until that point, I had always claimed for myself that I wasn't a morning person. That was the reality that I claimed for myself. Like,
Mm.
I'm just not a morning person. I'm a night owl. I'm an engineer. We get our best work done, between 10 p.m. and 2 in the morning. Like that was my reality for a long time until the day I made the decision to be a morning person. I do believe it just comes down to a decision. And the day I decided to be a morning person, every day since then, I've been waking up before 5 a.m., even on the weekends. And I can honestly say it is the most extraordinary thing that's ever happened in my entire life. And then that's kind of how I started calling myself the morning hero. And on social media, I would post the morning hero, and then slowly but surely that turned into a business. And now that's what I do now is I help people kind of tap into their extraordinaryism by waking up earlier and showing them how to get hungry and aggressive after their goals, helping them with their time management, helping them with focus and energy, all so that they can achieve anything they want and live more extraordinarily.
Nice, nice. I love that. You said a couple of things there that I want to unpack. Um, and one of the things that I just learned is that mornings are very important, as you said. And mornings, you'll find that mornings is where people think the most, where they kind of collect their thoughts for the day. And to say how
Yep,
you start your morning is how your day is going to be.
that's right.
That's why Monday morning they say that most people that's where they find that the most heart attacks happen. It's on
Oh,
Mondays.
really?
Yes, between that time of 6 and 10, because nobody wants to go to work.
That's right.
But at the same time, too, that one thing I've come to realize, and it kind of shows, is that a lot of people tend to their obstacles in life tend to be themselves the most. It tends to be up in their head. A lot of times they say where focus goes and focus goes, energy flows, right?
That's
And
right.
that's a term
Right.
that I've been hearing a lot. So a lot of people tend to focus on the negatives in life. Now,
Absolutely.
how would you say that using the 10x, how would somebody be able to overcome the obstacles that we all struggle with which is the mental obstacles of overcoming most likely ourselves, because we have been put into a mold in this world. We've been molded
Yeah,
by our experiences, right? And a
totally.
lot of times we have to let go of a lot of things in order for us to excel and move forward. So how would you help somebody overcome mentally moving forward?
Yeah, so you touched on a really good point. The mindset is everything. It's the starting point. It all starts with one, the belief and the conviction that there is a different reality for you, that you deserve better, and you know, psychologically, there are people that have gone through a lot and that, quite frankly, they don't even believe they deserve better. They don't believe they're worthy of more. And so, one, it does come down to the fact that you do deserve better, and once you're convinced of that, then every day you have to start do the work. You have to
Mm,
start to reprogram your mindset, and the word reprogram is truly it, because there's a lot of things, there's a lot of junk in there that's hardwired, like your experiences, everything that you've gone through, every result you've ever gotten, like it's hardwired into your mindset, and it becomes your autopilot. The way you do things becomes your autopilot. That's how you can drive to work and eat and chew gum and text on the phone all at the same time, because and you'll still get to your destination because your autopilot kicks in. You've driven that route every single day for the last 20 years. You can do it with your eyes closed now, and that becomes your autopilot. So when something's your autopilot, it takes a lot to unravel that. And the way you start to reprogram is, first thing, of course, you got to wake up earlier because you're gonna need time to do what I'm about to tell you. um, Two, write your goal every day, whatever the goal is, whether you believe it's attainable or not. You write it every single day. And I know that sounds monotonous and mundane, but this is the part of the process. The way you retrain your subconscious is through repetition. You say something over and over, you write something over and over, you affirm a new truth over and over and over, and then slowly but surely you start to believe it. So every single day I write my goals. I don't know if you can see this tagline behind me. It says, every damn day.
that's
That's
right.
my mantra. Every damn day. You do this as once or twice. You don't review your goals once a quarter or once or twice a year. It's an every damn day thing. Every day you write the goal and you sink into it. And I close my eyes and I visualize it every single day.
Mm,
So I write what I'm trying to achieve. I'm trying to create a massive movement of morning heroes that get up every day hungry and excited to change the world. And I write that and I close my eyes and I visualize it. I visualize how I'm doing it, what the behaviors I need to do today. How am I going to follow through and execute on it today? And then what you're doing is you're reprogramming your subconscious. And so for everyone that I work with, that's the first thing we do. Is first step is one, we get really, really clear on the goal. And then I challenge them that every day they have to wake up a little earlier, write their goals, and spend some time in seeking clarity and reflection on those goals every single morning. And over time, you start to unravel a lot of that mindset garbage that's in there.
So I'm glad you brought I'm glad you brought that process up. So if someone wants to be a morning hero, a true morning hero, when they wake up in the morning, the first thing they do is what? Do they brush your teeth? Do they pray? Do they work out? They
Yeah.
get some water? What's the process like for the first 2 hours of a morning hero?
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head. 2 hours. That is my recommendation, is that you're up 2 hours ahead of your first obligation. So whatever your first appointment or whatever the first thing you need to be accountable for in the morning, whether that's dealing with family, whether that's getting ready for work, should be up at least 2 hours ahead of that. I strongly recommend, especially if you have a family, you have to be up before your family. If you're waking up at the same time your family is waking up, you're waking up right into the chaos, right into obligations and responsibilities. You've never had time to set your footing for yourself. So the very first thing, you have to have time for yourself every morning, and that requires you to get up ahead of time. You got to get a head start, even on your family. So, so if you got 2 hours, let's say you get up 2 hours. The first thing I do after, the first 30 minutes or so, I'm kind of just getting myself ready. I'm brushing my teeth. I'm brewing my coffee. I'm kind of just I'm sinking into kind of the quietness of the morning and getting ramped up. And then the first thing I do is I seek clarity. I call it seeking clarity, and which is, some people call it meditation. You can call it prayer. All it is just spending some time in silence. And I like to set a little timer for 10 minutes. I play some meditation music, like, spa like music, like ambient sounds, wave noise, nothing with words, something that my brain can't attach itself to, just white noise. And so I'll sit there and I'll play that, and I'll just kind of close my eyes and I'll just listen. I call it the active state of listening. And what you're doing is you're listening for a word, you're listening for some guidance, you're listening for an inspiration, you're listening to that for that little birdie, your gut instinct, your intuition, you're listening for the Holy Spirit, you're listening. And a lot of times, even people who have a practice of prayer, right? Prayer oftentimes is a one-way dialogue. You're talking, you're telling, you're sending orders up, you're sending requests up, you're telling, the higher power what you need help with and how it should help you. And so it's a one-way dialogue. Then you stop and you get up and you go and you never listen for the answer. Like you told him what you wanted, but you never listened for his response. And so listening is just sitting still and not trying to think about anything, not trying to control your thoughts, just sit still. And I guarantee you a word will be spoken. And so I call that my way of getting clarity for the day. Every day I sit and I'm listening for clarity on what I need to focus on for the day. And every single day I get a word. I get some sort of aha, some sort of nugget. And so for at least 10 minutes, I sit with my eyes closed listening. And I have my journal in front of me. And as I'm getting words, as I'm getting a download, I start writing it down. And so by the end of that 10 minutes, I'll have a page full of stuff that I've written down. And that's my way of kind of getting things organized, dumping things on paper, and kind of getting started with my process for the day. So that's the first thing I do is I seek clarity. After that, I go into setting my intentions for the day. And so setting intentions is really just defining what a successful day is going to look like. So I'll write my goals, kind of come down with all my action plan. At this point, it's just like a to-do list. So I'll write my goals and then come up with my list of all the stuff I need to get done for the day. And then I go into my calendar and I put it all on my calendar. And I think this is the most important part that most people don't do is they kind of leave their stuff on a to-do list. And I always say a to-do list is where good intentions go to die.
Mm.
Like a to-do list is just a wish list. At some point in the day, you want to get this stuff done, but it's not a plan. A plan requires a time that you're going to do it. So it's not, I'm going to make my cold calls today. I want to make 25 calls today. It's, I'm going to make 25 calls at 9 a.m. The moment you add a time to something, that is intention, that is a plan. And so I go through and I take my list and I put everything that's on my list, I put it on my calendar and I block out time that I'm going to do each one of those things on my calendar. And effectively, once I do that, that's a perfect day. Like that's how I plan a perfect day every day. And so I'll first I'll see clarity. Second thing I'll do is I'll set my intentions of what a successful day is going to look like. Then I go off and do some exercise. I call it activation. So I'll get activated for the day. And so I think you need to start every day doing something where you're breaking a sweat. Like you got to get your swagger for the day. And the way you get your swagger is you go do something hard. And so I start every morning doing something hard and I go and I bust a sweat. And by the time you finish breaking a good sweat, you've got this victorious attitude. Like you've got your aura, your essence, and you carry that swagger with you in everything you do all day long. So I firmly believe you got to work out first thing in the morning, not afternoons, not evenings. You got to work out in the morning because that's where you're going to get your confidence and your swagger for the day. And then I go from there, I go into a shower, get ready, and then I go into crushing my first big thing for the day. So I do all that by 6 a.m. By 6 in the morning, I've done more than most people will do all day.
Nice.
That's
Nice.
the secret. You guys heard it. You guys know what to do now.
It sounds easy, but you know what? I'll tell you this: the hardest part of that whole process is this whole process starts the night before. If you don't get to bed on time, you won't wake up with energy. So the secret sauce to this whole thing is taking your ass to bed. So I have an alarm on my phone. Literally every day I have an alarm set on my phone at 8 p.m. When that alarm goes off, I look at my phone and it says on there, take your ass to bed.
we have my cue. We have to remind you that it is a Christian radio show. So
they know what that means. Ass is in the Bible. But no, I do. I take my butt to bed, and so I'm by 9 p.m. I'm asleep every day. And listen, I got a family. I got 2 kids at home. I get this a lot. Jarvis, what about them? I got a family. I got this. They got all the excuses in the world. I do too. I got all the same excuses, and it's no excuse, right? It's just a discipline. And so my whole family's conditioned. My kids go down at 8. When they go down, I go down. That's the rule of the house.
So let me ask you this, because one of the things one of the excuses that I'll hear a lot about that, and that includes me, is that there has to be certain level of peace to get things done, and you get it done a lot of times at night, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times when the house is quiet, everybody's down, you get more productive.
Yeah.
What would you say to somebody who is in that situation? Is it
And
something?
first of all, that is 100% correct.
Right.
You do need that peace to be productive. Here's where I'll challenge you. And listen, there's no right or wrong. If that's your rhythm, if that's your flow, and it works for you, then by all means stick to it. Like, don't don't fix what's not broken. But here's what I would challenge: how productive are you at night? And sometimes people use that as an excuse to stay up, and they're not really doing anything productive. They're online shopping, or they're on Netflix, or they're surfing social media. Like, they're claiming this productivity, but really you're just passing time. Now, here's what I notice about myself is that from the hours of 10 p.m. to 12 a.m., I wasn't really doing anything productive. I was just farting around on the internet. And so, what the decision I made to myself, first of all, I had to recognize that about myself, that I was not being productive. Despite me trying to justify it, I was not doing productive things from 10 p.m. to 12 a.m. And here's the shift that I made. I decided to trade my useless evenings for productive mornings. So that same peace that you just talked about, you have that same peace in the morning when you wake up at 5 in the morning and everyone is still asleep. Now, why can't you do it in the morning? And then you set a tone for the day. right?
Mm-hmm.
Rather than staying up to midnight and then, thinking you're productive and then waking up at 7 in the morning at the same time as your kids, at the same time you're trying to go to work and you're scrambling into chaos. Why not start the day with that peace instead of trying to end the day with that peace?
Mm.
I start the day with peace and I get a firm foundation and footing that's going to propel me to greatness every single day. So that's my challenge. My challenge is, first of all, are you really productive at night? Like,
Mm-hmm.
take a hard look at yourself. Are you really productive? And then two, what would it look like for you to trade that peaceful evening for a very, very peaceful, productive morning?
Mm. Yeah, that's true. And that's true because it's just a mindset. Until we all creatures of habit. One of the reasons why it's kind of like for me personally, I'm speaking personally, for me to it's hard to see myself being productive in the mornings is because that's when I was going to school and working full time job, the 9 to 5, and then I was going to school. Most of my stuff, which was my studies, used to get done at night. Homework used to get done at night.
Yep.
So I mean, doing like after a couple of years of that, you tend to program yourself that productivity is kind of nice. So I mean, I get what you're saying. The shift in that mentality over and that's the hard part, right? It's
Yeah.
shifting the mentality of okay, well, morning time is when you start your day. You want to start your momentum off in a good way,
Right.
to go through your day. So one of the things is that tell us more about 10x because when I heard 10x, one of the things that I know is Grant Cardone. And I'm sure you get that a lot. so
Yeah. So
so tell us
10x is
tell us a little bit more about what does it mean? What do you mean by 10x?
so it just so my main focus is helping people produce more in life,
Mm-hmm.
helping them with their time management. Because if you can master time management, then you eliminate every excuse you have for wherever your gaps you have. If you have a gap in your income and producing more at work or in your business, or being able to stay consistent with your fitness, having more time for your family. Time management is everything. Because when you give yourself more time, if I gave you an extra 8 hours of the day, now you have more time to grow your business. You have more time to hit the gym. You have more time to spend with kids, right? So time is everything. So I focus on helping people master their time. And in mastering their time, they 10x everything else they do. Anything they do now, they have more time to dedicate to it. So the 10x is really you will experience, it's just something kind of like a big promise I make is that I'll help you experience 10x results, and not just results, but you'll live more extraordinarily because it's not about just making more money. It's about what do you do with what do you do with your time? Like going on more. What would it be like if you were able to go on more vacations?
Mm.
What would it be like if you were able to go to the beach more often? And this is what I like. I go to the beach every day, and I call it. So I
Every
practice
day, huh?
so I practice something called done by lunch, and what that means is I'm so effective with my time that I'm done by lunch. I'm done with work, and I by 1 p.m. I shut down my day, and then I go pick up my son and I take him to a park on the beach, and that's a daily ritual. And I challenge people, what would that look like if you had your afternoons to every day? Like if you like screw this hustle grind mentality of having to work and grind 12 to 15 hours a day. What if you could be so efficient and productive with your time that your entire afternoons were for yourself? What would you do? You know, would you go golfing more? Would you spend more time with your hobbies? Would you learn a new language? Like, what could you do? And that's what 10x means. 10x means being able to do 10 times more than you can do now, just by being more by being more productive with your time.
Is that the
Uh,
zero calendar?
so that's one of the tools. So I kind of have a whole program where I walk people through there's 8 key kind of behaviors, daily disciplines that allow you to engineer your life to being done by lunch. And then the zero calendar is a piece of that. So the zero calendar is simply just the tool that you use to plan and organize your day. But that's one piece of it. So waking up early is obviously kind of a cornerstone of it. Um, Being able to plan your day more effectively using what I call it the zero calendar, which is my custom tool that I developed. Being more focused is another big piece of it. So it's not just about the having time on your calendar, but it's about being able to get a lot done in that time. So I can do more in 3 hours than most people do in a whole day because I'm so focused. Like in a 3 hour time span, I can get 8 hours worth of work done by the way I focus myself and kind of walk people through this technique of focus so they can get more stuff done in a shorter period of time. Um, Energy management is another one. Like having high energy is a big piece of you being more productive. If you're kind of lethargic and cloudy and kind of lazy, you're not going to get a lot of stuff done. So these are all the different little pieces that I all together combined allow me to be able to be done by lunch. And I kind of walk people through that. I have a whole program where I walk people through that.
Nice.
You know, you asked a good question, man. What would you do if you had the afternoon to yourself?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know.
Dude, this is a great. I'm glad you highlighted that because this is a common thing that a problem. And it sounds like a it sounds cliche, but this is an actual problem. I had someone send me a text message. They were 2 weeks into my program, and he said, Jarvis, this is great, but to be honest, like I actually didn't know what to do with my afternoon. It was 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was sitting around, and I was like, well, what am I gonna do now? He had to. He was asking me like it was a problem. Like I don't know what to do with my afternoons, and so then I started that day. I added a whole nother piece to my program called Joy, where I walk people through how to come up with their joy menu. And the joy menu is a list of things that bring you joy. And then now every day in the afternoon, you plan something from your joy menu into your afternoon. And so, and this is kind of where how I help people live a more extraordinary life. Every day, I challenge them to go do something fun and extraordinary. And that's because they have more time to do it.
Wow.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. So one of the things that we've kind of come to discover too is that we as human beings tend to create these narratives, right? And then we follow these narratives based upon the person who is more charismatic about narratives. Because one, that's we're the only species on Earth that does that. And a lot of times through life, wherever that narrative is, we tend to gravitate towards it because feel very comfortable. So, if one of the things about what you're saying too is that um, a lot of people feel comfortable where they're at, right now. Someone who's comfortable where they're at and saying, okay, well, it's how would you how would you shift that way of thinking because those people already stuck. I mean, it's harder to change somebody's mindset once if they have company.
And I don't try to change their mindset. If they're comfortable, they're comfortable. Like there's nothing I can do to make them uncomfortable. I
Right.
stopped. I stopped trying to force the horse to drink the water.
Right.
Unless they're thirsty, like they will never adhere to anything you say. Like you can't force something on someone. So if they
Right.
truly are comfortable and they're not seeking your help, then don't
Hmm.
help them.
There's
So
people who are thirsty but don't know how to drink.
Right.
I,
Right.
I, I can work with those people, but the people who ain't thirsty, I don't. I can't work
So
with.
for those who are thirsty, it was like, Jarvis, I'm parched, man. Like I'm dying of thirst,
Right.
but I don't know how to drink this water.
And
Yeah,
the reason why I brought that up too is because you hear a lot of things like, okay, well, I don't want to put in the effort to do that because I don't think it's for me, but at the same time too, I want the things that successful people have, right?
yeah,
So because I think because the everybody loves the result, and the
yeah.
process is where a lot of people tend to shy away from. But I think so. It's kind of like, and then they live in this narrative that is say, okay, well, this is not this is not for me, or it's I have to wait. Like a lot of people believe that they have to wait at the right time, or they have to wait on some divine intervention for things to happen. You
Yeah.
know, that's where I was kind of coming in because you see that a lot with people, and it's hard for you to explain to them. Okay, well, you want to help them, but it's kind of like they don't want to help themselves, and it's true you don't want to force them, but
Yeah.
they still want that thing, but they just don't want to go after it. So how would
It's
you
not.
show them?
They're not in enough pain yet.
Yeah.
Like that's a very hard situation. Like people that are in limbo like that are
Hmm.
probably so. from my situation, like I was in a pain, I had hit a point of pain that
Mm-hmm.
forced me to change. Like my life, I kind of left a part of my story out. I was very comfortable. And when I was comfortable, I wasn't aware that I needed to change or do anything differently. And, but as I started to see and kind of this resentment started to build, that I'm working my tail off and I'm still just getting average results. Meanwhile, I'm seeing people leapfrog me. I'm seeing people getting better, greater rewards and greater blessings. And here I am struggling, not struggling, but here I am working 12 hours a day just to kind of have this average existence. What has happened was I started to um, self medicate to kind of numb myself from this from this disappointment that I was feeling. And that sent my life into this downward spiral, which ended up with me getting fired from my job, losing my girlfriend at the time and moving out and having to go move back to Chicago and live with my mom. And that was my point where, okay, I have to do something different. This is not working. And I was at a place of pain. And that forced me to make a difference, change. Like it's harder, it would have been harder for me to change if I had never hit a point of pain. And unfortunately, a lot of people live comfortably and it's not painful enough for them to want to do much different. Right. And that's a very hard person to help because no matter what you do, like their life is still okay. It's cozy. They're just not living up to their full potential.
Right.
And at some point, it'll take a certain point where they'll get pissed off. Like, wait a minute, I should be doing more. I'm destined for more than this. And like, and if they aren't at that point yet, it's really hard. You can't really force them. And so, uh, and most of the people that I work with are at a point of being pissed off. Like they know they should be doing more and they're ready to do something different. And then that's when you're open to trying new things. That's when you're open to start waking up at 5 in the morning. If you're not, if you're not in the point of that, a point of wanting a different reality for yourself, there's no way you're going to start waking up at 5 in the morning. So it's a really tough question you ask. Like, how do you help people who aren't ready to be helped? My answer is you don't.
Gotcha.
What about those who okay, let's get back to who are thirsty, who want to drink, but believe they don't have the tools to drink. Like they may feel like I'm not good looking enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not tall enough, I'm not this
Yeah,
race, I'm not. I mean, they have all these excuses of why this won't work for them.
great question. So the best way for that is they have to see it. They have to see testimonies. They have to see other people who look like them, who are of the same situation of them that they are in, and who did get the result that they want. And so it really comes to what I call exposure. They have to be exposed to other people, exposed to other stories, exposed to what is possible for them, where they can see themselves in their shoes. And so, a big part of kind of where I challenge people is that they have to surround themselves and get into circles where they're seeing other people at a higher standard. Because the minute you start seeing other people, you have something magical happens. You start to say, well, wait a minute, if they can do it, so can I. Right? Your reality of what's possible for you changes when you see other people doing it, other people that you can relate to. And so your connection to others is the biggest thing that's going to grow your belief system, is by seeing other people doing things that then you can relate to and say, well, if they can do it, I can too. So networking, getting uncomfortable and going out and meeting new people, going to meetup groups. When I first started my growth journey, I went up on meetup.com and I would go to meetups with people with meetups around whatever topic that I'm interested in. So I was interested in personal growth and so I would always kind of look up meetups around, you know, meditation. So I went to a bunch of meditation meetups where I was meeting people that were into meditation because if they're into meditation, that means they're into growth, right? They're into trying to ascend, be past their norm. So I would go there and I would meet people and and then I would go to hiking groups. And I would, okay, if these people like hiking, obviously they're into health and fitness. They're into taking care of themselves, their minds, their bodies. So they must be growth oriented people. So I purposely put myself in circles where I was around other growth oriented people, and slowly but surely, me connecting and seeing what other people were doing grew what I knew was possible for me too. And so the best thing they could do is surround themselves with higher quality people,
Mm-hmm.
and so their belief system will grow too.
That is awesome. That's awesome. So, I mean, to tell us about what's next for you in terms of what do you see yourself going, and what do you see yourself doing after in the next 5 years? What are you building?
Well, my goal is to build a massive movement of heroes, people that are hungry and excited and wake up early every day, ready to live extraordinary lives, not only for them, but then to permeate that into their families, into their communities. And so the way I do that is through my program. It's called the Morning Hero Method. It's an 8-week process where where I walk people through week by week on the journey to becoming morning heroes. And this works for anyone. This works for primarily works for people that are in an unstructured environment, like real estate agents, mortgage loan officers, people that are self-employed. They're in
He's talking about me and you.
That's right.
yeah, commission only
Right.
sales roles where you don't have a traditional 9 to 5, you don't have the set structure, you don't have a boss breathing down your neck. And so you need to have the disciplines yourself of success, right? Because no one's going to force it on you.
That's right.
And so those people, I walk them through 8 weeks, help them build 8 disciplines of success. First
Right.
one is waking up early. The second one is time management. Third one is focus. Fourth one is energy. Fifth one is balance and joy. Sixth one is sleep. Seventh one is accountability. Um, and or wait, am I missing one? Oh, and the eighth one is eating for energy. And so I show you how, each week we cover a different discipline, and I have this kind of gamified system where it's all built around challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And so each week we're all doing a challenge together, and by the end of the 8 weeks, the way I've structured is that will have built that discipline so that it's permanent fixture in your life, so that you're doing it on autopilot. And so that's how I turn people into heroes. So my goal is to create a million morning heroes. And by creating these heroes, they're going off not only being heroes for themselves, but they're heroes to their communities, and they're making a massive difference. And so yeah, that's my goal, is to get a million people through the morning hero method.
Does
Nice.
this help individuals who are employed to get from employed to self-employed?
It can. Yeah. I have a client, I have one person I worked with 3 years ago. He was an accountant, and he had a great paying job. He was an accountant for Semper Energy, making good money, but he had a passion for wine. his his joy was every weekend he would go wine tasting down there in Via de Guadalupe and down in Mexico, and he would take friends and he would take them on these excursions and show them all the different wineries and teach them all about wines. And it was just a passion of his, and he always said, I would really love to make this a business. And I kind of walked him through this process, showed him how to have more time for himself to work on his side hustle. And within a year, he had not only started the business, he was making enough money in the business to quit his corporate 9 to 5, and now he makes more money than he did when he was a big time accountant. Not only that, not just the money though, he has 10 times more happiness because
Mm.
he's doing what he loves every single day. So it absolutely, the stuff that I show people will give them more time. And with that time, you do whatever you want with it. You can reinvest that time back into growing a side hustle. You can reinvest that time into some hobbies. You can reinvest that time back into your family. However you want to spend that extra time, you do it. But I show you how to get the time back.
Nice. So, I mean, so you would consider yourself a coach, like a
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
So one of the things I want to say is I just this year alone I've realized that what you said with the accountability factor in being self-employed, that's
Mm-hmm.
where I would say that most self-employed entrepreneurs struggle with is that accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because number one, in the corporate structure, you have KPIs that you have to set and you have to attain, and then the corporate actually gives you a review every month. As an entrepreneur, you don't have that. You don't have the helicopter over you. You have to create your own structure, your own time, and you have to execute it, right?
Right.
One of the things that I've come to realize this year is that you tend to, it's like a hamster wheel. You tend to do that consistently, even though you're getting things done. In order for you to scale now, this is where you're going to need some accountability. And I've come to realize that a lot of people who are top performers in their respective industries, they have coaches, right? Even
They
real
sure
estate,
do. Yeah.
even the top producers in real estate have coaches. And it's because when you set accountability, that's a huge part. A lot of us are good with the structure, but it's the accountability of, okay, well, why not take it to the next level? The challenge, even
Right.
the top teams, every team has a coach. You'll find that even the top business people, they have coaches around. So
Right.
it's something that we don't hear of as part of and when you read books and stuff, you rarely ever hear, okay, well, yeah, hear
Yeah.
about the coaching, right? You know what I'm saying? So why is that? Why is that you don't
That's a
hear
great.
about
I don't know
that part?
why. I don't know why it's not talked about more, but you're absolutely right. And I just did a seminar about this last week, where I. So first of all, if you look at the most extraordinary people on earth, Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, Steve Jobs, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, they all have had coaches and mentors. And I remember one day watching Tiger back in 2000. This was the early 2000s when this was not new Tiger. This is old Tiger when he was absolutely dominating. I mean, he was winning the Masters by 20 strokes over the next nearest person. Um, and he was going through a coaching change, which is weird. Like he was just won like three Masters in a row, and he had just fired his coach, and he was hiring a new coach. And so the reporter, as he was walking off the course one day, a reporter asked him, was like, Tiger, here you're going through the coaching change. He's like, why do you even need a coach anyway? Like, you are the most dominant figure to ever touch a golf club. Like, what could anyone else teach you that you don't already know? Why do you even need a coach? You're better than him. You would be better than your coach anyway. So like, why have a coach? And I never forget what he said. He said, "How do you think I got this way?" He's like, "All the extraordinary people have coaches. It's only average people who think they can do it on their own."
Mm,
And that stuck with me because he's right. Average people think that, "Oh, I can figure this out. I got this. I got this. I don't need nothing."
hmm
All the greatest people, look at them. Athletes, CEOs, all great people have coaches. And that's how they got that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's
hmm
because they have guidance, they have mentorship, they have someone who's already figured it out, and they give them the shortcut, they give them the answers, they give them all the secrets to success. And that's what coaching is. Coaching is someone, you find people that have already gotten to some place in life that you want to be, and instead of you trying to figure it out, you spending 10 years of failing and figuring out, you go to this person who's already figured it out, and they boil 10 years down to 10 days.
mm.
It's the greatest shortcut to success is through coaching and mentorship. And I don't know why it's not talked about more, but it 100% is your shortcut.
Awesome.
Yeah. You know what? That's a good. That's a good. Maybe I don't know if it's people think of the costs that get involved in it, but
Probably.
pardon.
I said, you talking about like that's a big barrier for people
Yeah,
is
I mean,
to
saying
pay for
a coach.
coaching.
Let's say a coach costs you $10,000. Like, ooh, $10,000.
Yeah, but
But
that's an investment, right? Like you invest your money into something that you expect a return. If that $10,000 is going to help you net an additional $100,000, I would say that's a great investment. I mean,
mm-hmm.
if you put 10,000 in Apple and then this year you made an extra, it returned 100,000, you'd be like, yeah, that was an amazing investment. Well, I don't understand why people don't look at coaching that way. I have a person that's in my program. He's actually one of my coach. He is a Morning Hero coach now. So now I have a team of Morning Hero certified coaches
Mm.
that work with Morning Hero clients. And this was a person that when I met him, he had just started being a real estate agent, and he had went 8 months without closing a deal. He was married. He was married, and he had a newborn daughter on the way. and his wife was giving him an ultimatum, like, look, if you don't make something happen, you need to go find a real job, because it's been 8 months and you haven't brought a paycheck in. He joined my program. I walked through, kind of gave showed him all the things that I walk people through to help them become morning heroes. And within 8 months, he had closed 8 deals, and he that year he made over $300,000. He went from not doing anything to making over $300,000. Now, what did he pay me? He paid me probably $2,500, and for my fees for coaching, $2,500 he paid, but he gained $300,000. Right? Like, people look at coach. You shouldn't look at it as an expense. It's an investment that you should expect a return. You should expect 10x from the level of, from investing in yourself, and that's the part I don't understand. People use cost as a barrier. No, it's going to help you make more.
Yeah, I mean, we do it as far as in college. Like, we'll go into student loan debt up to
Exactly.
yin yang for college.
True.
And make just enough to pay off those debts. And and what you're saying kind of reminds me of CharlieTremendousJones, if you heard of him.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, real good guy, and personal development back from the 60s and 70s and 80s. And one of the things he says is, in life, you don't take advice from people because you decide what life you want to lead. But what you do is take counsel from people. So you decide what you want to do, and then whatever you decide you want to do, figure out who's done that to the level you want to do it, and go get the counsel or mentorship or coaching from them.
Absolutely. It's a great formula. I mean, this is a formula that I use for my own success now. I was listening to a podcast 2 years ago, and I was getting deep into personal to digital marketing. Building. I don't know if you're familiar with funnels, but it's a digital way you use automated systems to get leads and to sell them. And so I was listening to Russell Brunson, who is kind of like the king of funnels, and he was going through his goal setting methodology of every year, how he sets his goals. And he said, okay, every year, first thing I do is I get really clear on the goal. I establish what I want for myself. I get really clear and I define the goal. Because the second thing I do is I find a guide. The second thing I do is I find a guide. A guide is someone who already has it, or has a formula, or has a process, or has demonstrated success in the goal that I want. And then I go and I hire them. Is it first thing he does is define the goal. Second thing he does is find a guide. And it has been his secret to success. Every year he hits his goals because he gets a guide. Most people don't get a guide. They have a goal. They may think they know what they want, but then they go off and fumble on their own. The most extraordinary people get guides. I've been using that formula for the last 2 years. And for the last 2 years, I mean, I put it this way. I started doing this coaching practice 3 years ago. And at the time, I didn't know what I wanted. I had no idea how to even run a business. I had nothing. I have no coaching certification. I have no marketing skills. But every year, I go off and invest a portion of what I make into coaching and mentorship. And now I have a team of 8 employees. I have a team of 4 Morning Hero coaches. And I met with my CFO 2 weeks ago, and we're going over projections, and we're projected to be $1 million business because I have a guide. I pay $15,000 for my coach. I'm not shy about it. I pay $15,000 for my coach, but I can't tell you. There's no words I can put on what it feels like to have $1 million business, and I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't have that without making some level of investment in becoming the person that I need to be to get to where I am. So, like, people have to get off this, I can't afford it. You can't afford not to if you want to get to another level of life.
Nice.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I think that gives people the confidence, based on your experience, to say, man, I started this thing 3 years ago, and because I had my goal and the guidance in front of me, I reached my goal.
Yeah.
And then I'm basically put 15,000 and now I have $1 million business because of that.
Yeah.
I think people it's hard for people to you talk about deserve. I don't think people feel like, that's for him. That's not for me. He could do that, but not me. I didn't graduate with an engineering degree and that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and the confidence comes from because they don't know at who they are at this moment. They won't get it. They but when you latch on to someone and they're pulling you, like then you start to the fog gets lifted, and you start to see a different reality and you start to see different results. So the having a guide gives you the confidence to even want more than you currently have.
Yes, sir.
Yep. And I said it's kind of like the affirmations. We all have this voice in the back of our heads that tells us we can't do something, right? But at the same time, too, there's a saying that goes, you tell yourself you can't do something, it's true, you can't, right?
Right?
It's
Yeah,
just that
absolutely.
it's just that it's just that we gotta live with that, and that's we gotta understand that's if we're telling ourselves that we can't. But if you tell yourself you can do something, and you put one foot forward, make one step at a time, every day one step, you get towards your goal. You point yourself in the right direction. And somebody told me just getting out of bed is a huge step because some people are so paralyzed by depression and go through these mental issues that they stay in bed all day. But
Right.
some people just get out of bed or just get out of bed and making that getting down to where you can actually start thinking about, okay, well, let me focus on doing something today. That's a
Right.
huge accomplishment. So the small wins, we have to celebrate it. I think we have to start celebrating those small wins. And
Mm-hmm.
then once we get to the point where we can now say, okay, well, we have the big wins where now and we all need somebody behind us. We all need a coach. Some people just can't afford it, but at the same time too, we can actually seek guidance from somewhere.
Yeah,
There's
and,
guy
and
all around us.
you don't necessarily have to pay for coaching.
Hmm.
Paying for it is the fastest way.
Hmm.
You can try to go off and build relationships organically
Mm.
and build a circle of mentors. In my first kind of big mentorship circle that I built on my own, and it was if I first started going to meetup groups because I was trying to find a tribe. I was trying to find like-minded people. I was trying to find elevated people, and then that went from me going to meetup groups to me doing my own meetup group and hosting my own group to start attracting the people I wanted. And so I started hosting events on like a book club, and every day, every event, I would host them on a different book, and then I would attract the people who I knew who were interested in that kind of book. And so I started building my own circle. And in that, I found my group of my circle of influence and mentors. And so that's you can do this. You don't necessarily have to, like I said, you don't have to go pay. If you have access to people right now, there are probably people in your circle right now you have access to that have some level of success that you want, and you just go spend more time with those people,
Hmm.
or you start building a network on your own. But there are other ways you can do it without having to pay. Paying for something does two things. One, it's faster than trying to go and spend a year building your own network of good people.
Right.
Uh, but two, you take it more seriously. When you invest money into something,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
they say when you pay attention.
Yeah.
The fact that I pay my coach $15,000, I don't miss a meeting. I take every word seriously. I'm taking copious notes. I'm executing everything he tells me because I got to get my money's worth.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I paid a lot of money. So I'm going to do everything I can to get my money's worth. If I didn't pay for this, I wouldn't take it seriously. I'd be blowing them off. I wouldn't take it seriously if I didn't have some level of investment on the line. And so when you pay for something, you get more out of it. And so that's
Right.
why
Right.
um, I think there's something to paying for something that's going to help people get better results as if they just got it for free.
Nice.
I agree, man.
Yes, sir.
So we got less than 2 minutes left on the show. So for those who are listening, what is the one thing you want to have people understand on how to achieve their goals, or basically your mission on which you want to help people do? So what is the one message you want to get across to those listeners?
Uh, I'll just kind of reinforce the one we just talked about, which is get a guide. So you may have a goal, you may have been stuck for a while. Um, you may feel like you're working and you're not seeing the result, and maybe the level of it, the results you're getting doesn't reflect the level of work that you're putting in. If there's an imbalance there, I would probably challenge you that you might have the goal, but you don't have the guide. And so that's been the formula for success. Get clear on your goal and get a guide, someone that's been there, that can break the formula down, that can shortcut your success, hold you accountable in areas that you're not holding yourself accountable, and hold you to a higher standard of execution. That's what a good coach, mentor, person of influence does for you. And don't be afraid to pay for it, because the more you pay, the more you'll get out of it. Like, I mean, the more you pay, the more attention you'll pay. So that's my challenge for people. If you want to get to the next level, it's going to require something different from you, and that might be finding some guidance.
Nice.
So for those who are listening and they say, I want to get connected with this morning hero, what is the best way they can get a hold of you or reach out to you?
Yeah. So speaking of guidance, I'm offering for your listeners or anyone that's watching this, a free coaching session. If you want to see what it's like to have a coach and you want to test out the waters just to see if it's something you're going to get value from, I'll offer a free coaching session. So I normally charge $295 for a coaching session.
Okay.
$295. I'm offering your listeners a free session, um, if they want to experience and get a little clarity on their goals, and then help them put together their action plan to achieve it. So if they want that, they can go to a website. It's called www.iwantfreecoaching.com. Very simple. If you want free coaching,
www.iwantfreecoaching.com.
iwantfreecoaching.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, you better take advantage of it before I do.
So go to I Want Free Coaching. It's simply going to be a calendar link. And let me make sure. Yep, iwantfreecoaching.com is a link to my calendar page. And all they do is just go pick a time slot that works for them. So that's www.iwantfreecoaching. And I'll offer you a free coaching session.
Cool. Well, we'll put that in the comment section. So for those who are watching and listening, they can sign up for that.
Yeah.
Jarvis, the only disappointment I had with today's interview is that we just didn't have more time. But
you probably say that to everybody. I'm sure that's your.
I say that a lot.
No, this
But
I gotta say this was very enlightening.
I felt like we barely even scratched the surface.
Yes.
To be honest.
Yeah.
To be honest.
I could talk for days on this stuff, man. This has been my life's mission for
But
the last 5 years.
it's like it's bedtime for you, because I know it's past 8:00, so you got to get ready for that morning.
I don't know if you heard my alarm. My alarm just went off on my phone.
Awesome.
Well, I said, take your ass to sleep.
Well, go to sleep, boy.
Well, we do appreciate your presence and blessing us with the information, and we wish you all the best, man. And definitely we'll put the word out there about what you do to anybody who needs your services.
Absolutely. You want to learn how to get up early, have more accountability, be more strict with your time management and focus. Just go to iwantfreecoaching.com, and I'd love to talk to you.
Awesome.
God bless you, brother. Thanks for doing our show. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You listen to another episode of Let's Talk About It. We'll see you guys same time, same place next week. Until then, peace.